that this is Black Tuesday. Guys, I woke up to black squares on my screen and I didn't know what they were. I'm like, what happened? And then finally, one of the black squares actually had the hashtag Blackout Tuesday on it. And so that's when I came to realize, oh, okay, we now social media protesting. Okay, I'm good. Okay. Then I said, uh-oh, I scheduled my podcast to go live before I knew, about this Black Tuesday. So I was struggling a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, do I do it? And I posted it, as a comment on my Black Tuesday, because I'm in solidarity too. Look, let's go. Let's do this. Okay, we're going to be unified together. We are standing for Ahmaud Arbery, for George Floyd, all the folks, all the things. But y'all, I was like, do I go live today for this podcast, or do I just record it and just put the audio out tomorrow? So I decided to go ahead and go live. I did have a comment that said, I would love to hear your voice right now. Say something, And so I hope that this does not come across as me not standing, but I think considering what I'm talking about, I think I'm very much standing for something today, and I'm standing for a cause. So you guys know this is the Don't Be Useless podcast, and we are here to help you deliver on your vision, build your confidence, and help you use those God-given gifts. You got stuff inside of you that needs to come to fruition, that needs to manifest, and we want to see those things happen. We want to do our part here as the Don't Be Useless podcast to help you do that. And one of the ways that we do that, and I love for season 2 of this podcast, is we do this with you live. That is the beauty of YouTube and Facebook, which I am live right now on my It's Priscilla B pages. So before I go any further, let me say hey to y'all. Hey, y'all. I see Robin, Angie. I see Alicia on here. I see some folks watching live on YouTube. When you guys drop an emoji or wave hello, that's when I'll know your name on YouTube, because I cannot see it unless you actually say something. Hey now, what's up, Diane? So beautiful seeing you guys. On both spaces, make sure you click a thumbs up if you know that this is a topic you are in for today. As a community, we're going to hit it together. So we're about to be in this thing. I got it set up nice and right. There will be joy. It won't be all heavy, because I know it's already been a heavy time. So I plan on bringing some light, but also some even my own personal experiences around racial injustice, the whole thing, guys. So hey there. What's up, Shell? So I am so excited to be with you guys. Okay, let's move on. Now, I want to start with the buzz of the week. And there's been a lot buzzing around racial injustice, but since we're going to talk about some of the practical things and experiences we went through, we're going to start with the buzz that I liked. Okay. I don't like racial injustice. I don't like all the negative things, but let me say I loved, and when I say loved, I loved Kirk Franklin versus Fred Hammond battle on Versus TV. Now look, when I heard this was going to happen, I kind of was like, oh no, I hope it's not really like a battle, because we all one body. Y'all know me. I'm like, we all together, community. Oh, I hope it's not a battle. So when I turned it on, and I happened to be on vacation this time. So when I turned it on and saw they were in the same room, I was like, yes, be together. They were in the same room. Look, Detroit's been hit hard with the coronavirus. I'm sure Fred did not mind coming down to Dallas. But yes, I said, y'all better come through. But y'all, when those songs started playing, when the Spirit of the Lord, I was like, oh, I'm in here. I'm like, kids, watch this. You hear that song? Put that in your heart. Let that sink in. This is our history. Mama grew up. Y'all, it was taking me back to high school. Some of it took me back to middle school, because Kirk Franklin played his original, like his first songs, Joy, Joy. Woo! Y'all know. I don't want YouTube to flag me, so I can't keep singing these songs. But if you watched, let me know, y'all. Did you watch it? Did you like it? Did it do the same thing for you as it did for me? if you didn't grow up in the church, you might not have caught on to any of their music till later on. You know, the things you may remember is going to be different, but it hit different when you was in those rough times, in those difficult times, and you had Kirk Franklin music to help you through. You had Fred Hammond music and commission to help you through. Y'all, I loved it. They had TD Jakes open, and he opened in prayer. Then you had Fred Hammond, you had Kirk Franklin, and all his silliness was amazing. And then he brought in Tamala Mann, and she sang Take Me to the King live, y'all. She yelled that thing, yelled it. I said, come on, Tamala. And then we had Marvin Sapp step in the room. I about threw the phone. I said, what? They are pulling rank today. Now, I don't know what he had to do with Kirk Franklin necessarily and Fred Hammond, but it was bomb seeing them. Okay. So I loved it. So that is my buzz of the week. It looks like you guys enjoyed it too. I see comments here on YouTube that says, I always miss those battles. Do you? You know what? They're all on YouTube. Within an hour, somebody has pulled it off of Instagram. I don't even know how people be doing this. Pull off Instagram, and then they are on YouTube and they are watching it. And you can watch the whole thing. Just search it. Fred Hammond versus Kirk Franklin. All right. On Facebook, it says, definitely you. One band, one sound. That's right. We all together. We are together. And that kind of goes into our topic today. So I could not decide on which topic to exactly dive into. So I kind of have two. How to navigate this racial injustice without hate. And then I also have a dual conversation of what should our white allies be doing right now? Now, I have really tried not to go all the way in on this because the podcast is more about, for our own life, future, and vision, all these things that God has for us. But it is such a big topic that I could not resist bringing it into our space. There is an approach I want to take today that I have not heard yet. Okay. I haven't heard this approach. So I am definitely going to be looking for this to be a conversation because we all have different experiences. Let me say that all Black people did not grow up the same. I'll start in on this. Okay. We do not all have the same experiences. So where I may have grown up in inner city Memphis, Tennessee, I also have the experience of having some adolescent years in suburban Oklahoma, where I'm the only Black kid in every class. So I have, and just like you, multiple experiences. Okay. So I want to kind of start by just kind of walking through some of the different experiences that Black people may have that maybe everyone is not aware of, because everyone who follows me and will listen to this is not all Black. So I don't want there to be only one perception of where we have come from or our experience in terms of just geographically. Okay. All of us are not thugs. I shouldn't have to say that, but there it is. All of us are not uneducated. All of us are not looting. We're not destroying things, but at the same time, no judgment to those who are. So some of us as Black people have grown up where we are the only Black people in our neighborhood, in our schools, in our areas. And if there's others, there's very few of us. Some of us have also grown up in poverty. We've grown up where we have had very little, but not all of us. Some of us have grown up in a middle class family to upper class family. All of us have not grown up poor. Some of us have come from homes where our parents both have college degrees and are educated, and they fought for that education. But some of us also have grown up in homes where they did not go to college. And some of us have been educated, and some of us are, quote unquote, uneducated. And so another experience I want to speak to is just around corporate America. There are many of us who have climbed the ranks on our jobs and who are working in environments that we are the minority. Okay. Yes, we're the minority in the country, but we also carry that with us when we go to work. And so, what I want to speak to before we move into this conversation about what our allies should be doing, as well as how do you move through, navigate this thing without hate. I just want to say we didn't all come from the same experiences to get to this place where we are today. You've seen a lot of different narratives in the media. I have that said, okay, we're all think looting is okay. Some narratives I've seen is where we're like, no one should loot or protesting is okay. And some of us have been like, no, protesting is not enough. And then others are like, that's why the system is broken. Don't vote. And then there are others like, you better vote. We have to vote. So there is just a lot of dialogue happening. And I think one of the reasons, one, that you're going to see all these different opinions and dialogue within the Black community is because we all have different experiences. We didn't all come from, a certain type of home. We have all come from different places and we bring all that together. So I want to say, mainly to the Black community, it is okay to not agree on everything. We don't all have to agree on how everything needs to be addressed or dealt with or how we move. I think it's unrealistic to think that all the millions of us are going to mobilize in such a way to where there is not any of us that disagree with a movement or whatever the majority does. So I think that as a Black community, we need to make sure we're giving each other grace on how we're handling this, how we're making moves, and even if some of us are still quiet within the Black community, because there are traumas that we have experienced, some of us, there is some serious discrimination that some of us have experienced. And I want to share some personal experiences with you guys too. But I just want to start there. We didn't all have the same upbringing, the same just experiences growing up and everything. So I think that's just really, really important to folks who are not Black, to make sure that you don't just see a person that's Black and assume an experience for them. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is treat them and accept them as the individual they are. When you see me, I don't want you to put me in the box of whatever you think a Black person should be, whatever you think I need to talk like, be like, think like. By doing that, it lets me know, number one, my race is too big of a deal to you. You need to check your heart. It's too big of a deal. You care too much that I'm Black. It matters to you way too much. And I don't know about you, and this is where I'm gonna want to sound off, because this could just be my experience. I'm not gonna assume it on anyone else. But for me, when I see someone who is uncomfortable with me or working really hard around me, sometimes I'm led to believe that's because of the color of my skin, depending on how they're approaching me. There are times where I'm just like, let me be over smiley and over nice so you can calm down, because I feel like you're nervous to say the wrong thing. Why? Because my skin is brown. Because you aren't around as many Black people. So rightfully so, you might be nervous because you know there's been racial tension in our country. So you don't know what to do with me. I get that. Not going to judge that. But for me, standing in my skin, I recognize that my race is a part of every interaction I have, especially outside of my house. It is a part of it. Whenever I see another Black person outside of my house, it's what's up? Hey, because there's this unspoken thing about family within Black community. Hey, what's up? Hey, if I see someone who doesn't look like me, I have found myself in my life being hesitant, because now I'm like, are they okay with me? This is just real. Are they okay with me speaking? Will they not speak back to me? Why? Because as a Black person, you know you're Black. You know it. Your race is on your mind when you step out into that world. It may not be when you're going to your car, you get in your car and you're going where you're going. But when you go into the store, it is a thought to you if that store is Louis Vuitton, if you're going to be followed, and not to bash them, any upscale store, any upsell store, any higher price point. It could be Nordstrom, who knows? But you know you're Black. You can feel looks. You can see salespeople positioning themselves. Even within the last year, I have been followed in a store. I know what color I am with my white husband and all, okay? With my biracial kids, okay? I know. I am aware. I'm going to go to your comments before I transition to some of my own experiences because you guys are signing off and I love you for it. So here on Facebook, Robin says, I agree. Everybody has a lane. Isaac says, welcome, Isaac. Isaac says, powerful word here. Man, and so much to talk about. I brought water today, y'all. I was like, look, let me bring me something to wet my throat because I have never sounded off like this in public before. This will be something for me today. Diane says, straight up love. I think that's my girl, Christy from Tennessee. She says, right. I need folks to know that our childhood experiences are different. Yes. And Christy happens to be a very, very pro. I low-key want to say Black Power because she is a voice in the community and has been ever since I've known her. Love her dearly, and I love what she stands for. Chrissy also says, it really wasn't until college that I legit was the only Black person in the room. But I knew and heard that experience in other ways and from other people. You know, there's this conversation around Black colleges. And I have nothing against HBCUs. Love them. Most of my family, a lot of my family went to Morehouse. I have a cousin went to Spelman. I have a whole lot that went to Ole Miss and other schools. I went to a school, a private university, Christian private university, Oral Roberts. So there was a group of Black folks there, and we were together. But it was a very diverse school in a sense. Because diversity can be defined different ways. But she said that she really got the experience of being a Black person when she went to college, again, because we all did not grow up the same way. She goes on to say on YouTube, the only thing I think we agree on, we deserve, we demand, we want justice and equality. Agreed. She goes on to, then we have Shell who says, I'm a military brat, so I'm used to a more diverse environment. Another experience coming to the table, a military person. Yes, I didn't really experience people who weren't used to diversity until college. Are y'all noticing this theme? College is a game changer. College is a game changer because you are literally taken out of your neighborhood school and your neighborhood environment, and you are put into an environment with other ways of thinking, other people just like I was. College was a game changer for me too. And then we have some other comments. Yes, that part, Pastor. Someone else said, it's crazy. Sometimes I'm not sure if people are speaking to me because they are nice, they're scared, or feel bad about what's happening in the country. And that is a whole nother thing. I have mad respect for this one individual who texted me. She's like, hey, are you cool going live with me? She was like, I hope this isn't an inappropriate ask, but my world is so white. And if you got that text, how would you feel? Hey, and they asked me about going live because they know I speak on things, have podcasts and stuff. But they were like, my world is so white. I hope it's not inappropriate that I'm talking to you about this or I'm bringing this up to you right now. One time she even sent me a post like, look, I'm about to post this. Can you just look this over and tell me, does this offend you? Are you offended as a person of color? This person I happen to know grew up with racist adults in their life. This person has specifically fought to make sure their mind is renewed as to how to think about people of color because the conversation was so negative about Black people their whole life. And when they became an adult, they're like, whoa, that's not Black people at all. And so they've had to make sure that they have cleaned up their narrative. So if you got a text from a white counterpart, you got a text from a white friend that was like, hey, my world is too white over here. What do you think about this? I want to hear from you. How would you feel? Would it offend you that they acknowledged your race, that they called it out? I find it admirable myself because I'd rather you say something, girl, than walk around here thinking what you're thinking. And when I respond, I'm not responding for all Black people. but I can respond for some different thoughts in our community because I'm plugged into my community. Another comment on Facebook, on YouTube here says, love. But after their college experience at Lipscomb, Chrissy says, I needed more Black people. She said, ooh, I needed my people. Look, I love it. Please go live with her. Her followers need to see it. I agree. I think going live, and I'm going to talk about actions that our allies can take, whether white or just non-Black. I put white in the title here, but non-Black. I have specific things that I think our white counterparts should do in a time like this. And I want to see if you have more that you also would suggest on this. But let me share some experiences with you from my own life when it comes to racial injustice. And again, you guys know I'm never coming from a place of hate. I'm just not. Hate does not help. I also have a scripture to share with you guys that I think is going to be very enlightening in this time. And I think it will help fuel you. It'll help ground you in a time where emotions are extremely, extremely high. Before I go into my experience, I have a comment here on Facebook from Robin who says, I felt kind of apprehensive because I don't feel like it's my responsibility to educate non-people of color, but I'm learning to walk in love and do my part. Y'all, I have heard this conversation in the Black community a lot. It's not my job to educate them. It's not my job. I shouldn't have to take on the burden of educating them when the space I'm in, I have been put in, right? By systemic racism and things like that. I have heard this narrative and I myself agree and disagree personally. I feel like, no, it's not my responsibility to educate people around me. But I believe as a Christian, as a believer in Jesus Christ, it is my job to walk in love. And the Bible talks about not letting someone who is blind stay blind. And if it is within my power to open the eyes, to help someone see, then it is my responsibility from a light perspective, from a freedom perspective, from a Jesus perspective. So I'm saying that in whatever reach you have, handle that responsibly. So it doesn't mean at work I'm walking around, with, pamphlets and doing things like that. But I do feel like as a believer, if I see you in darkness, it is my job. It is my obligation, since Jesus died for me, to set me free. It is my obligation to help you come to a freedom of an understanding, even if it's just my experience. What you do with that is up to you. It's not my job to be hanging with you and what you do with it, but it is my job to say something and to advocate. All right, comment here on YouTube says, went to grade schools that were predominantly white, but my church was blackity black, black, black and black. Okay, moving on. Diane says, however, I didn't understand the sense of community until I went to a predominantly white institution and plugged into the Black Student Association. I agree with you there. There is something in the Black experience where you are the only Black person and where you are with all of your folks. And I myself have had the experience of both, very much so. And let's talk through these experiences real quick. Actually, one more comment here. Angie says, I had someone of non-color ask me what they could do to make a change. It was a great conversation. Y'all, this is what we want. We want the awkwardness gone between white and Black. Like in other races, we want the awkwardness gone. This person goes on to say on Facebook, the fact was Christian, the fact she was a Christian and prayed to be put in the presence of someone of color. Wow. Wow. I'm so going to add that as an action plan when I get into pray for the experience. Now, here we go. Some experiences I've had on both sides. When I was in high school, I worked at Walmart. I worked everywhere. Walmart, McDonald's, Enterprise, y'all. I don't work everywhere. And trying to help my mom out. And so while I'm in Walmart, there's this lady who threw a racial slur at me as she walks away. Now, I am 16 years old working. And she calls me the N-word and grabs her grocery bag and storms away. So as a young person, it didn't register to me that she had done that until she was, this is in Oklahoma, until she was, some distance away. And I'm literally like, what just happened? Because I was a star cashier in Walmart, okay? Because I know I gave you good service, okay? I was whipping them things in that bag. I had myself together, okay? So I know you had good service, lady. Why I gotta be the N-word? But on that day, I made a decision that if I was ever called an N-word again, I would never let it have power over me. Here's what I mean by that. That experience taught me that if you call me anything out my name, somebody called me a B, if a troll hopped on here, call me a B. If they call me whatever, if they call me the N-word, whatever they wanted to call me, I have settled in myself so much of who God has made me to be. Your word bounces off. I had to do work to get here, but I'm telling y'all for a fact, that word, these derogatory things, has nothing in me. As Jesus said, the devil has nothing in me. Jesus said, there ain't nothing he can say that he can hold over my head. He has nothing in me. When it comes to words outside of who I know I am, they have nothing in me. And I've had to do work to get there because it used to hurt so bad. I mean, hurt. But I can't. I was like, I can't let you have any power just by being able to walk up and call a word. That word can mean something to you. It will not impact how I see myself. Walls up. Done. A comment here from Diane. She says, I got a text from a friend, a co-worker of her husband's, commenting on a Facebook post. She wanted to know what more she could do to teach her son to grow up loving everyone. We had a beautiful conversation. A beautiful conversation. That is so good. Oh, guys, you're amazing. And what I love is that my Don't Be Useless fam, my DBU fam, you guys, the folks who have signed up for my email list, you've gone to israelslibby.com, the folks who are showing up here every week, you guys are the people can reach out to that are not Black. Are y'all catching this? Okay? Y'all are that bomb of people that are not Black feel comfortable enough talking to you. I love y'all. We peoples. And that also speaks to who you are and how you carry yourself as yourself. I just want to give a shout out to y'all for being the people that someone who is not Black can come to in a time like this and talk it through or ask you. Love y'all dearly. Guys, when some of you guys may know, I did beauty pageants. And the reason I got into them is I was in college. I needed more money to pay for school. And my hairdresser, who was young, and she was like, I think you should do the Miss Black Tulsa pageant. This is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think you should do the Miss Black Tulsa pageant. And I was like, Miss Black, what? So I hadn't even heard about pageants besides Miss America, Miss USA. So I look into it. They were about to start ramping up for the year and, just getting prepared for the pageant. So I go check it out. I submit to be in it. I go to the first audition. There's like 20 other women there, 20 other girls. And I have to admit that when I heard the title, I was almost taken back. Like, am I okay being a Miss Black anything? Why can't I just be a regular Miss Tulsa? What's the difference? Why Miss Black? Why is there something separate created besides the regular system? Now, this is me as a 16-year-old girl. It was my first time being exposed to something where it's a clear line of Black. Besides NAACP, this is Black. It's Miss Black Tulsa. Okay. So for me, I had to really navigate my own feelings, because if I'm gonna be in this thing, I'm saying that as a Black woman, I'm going to represent this city, right? That is a very big stance. When I have been in an environment where I'm cool with everybody, so I had to make sure I knew who I was, and I was still learning. I was still a kid. So I do the pageant. And here's how they treated this pageant. I'm going to take you behind the scenes just for a moment of a Black pageant and the Miss America system, because I've done both pageant systems. In the Miss Black Tulsa pageant, we had months leading up to the pageant where we had to meet every Saturday. Let me tell you what they did in the Miss Black system. They taught us how to walk. They taught us how to speak in interviews. They taught us how to sit. When we walk into the room with mayors and different people, how you carry yourself. They taught us etiquette, meaning silverware and all the things. We literally, as Black girls, were trained on how to conduct ourselves in a world outside of the Black community. At the time, I thought this is just, oh Lord, Clara Looper. Ooh, somebody just dropped her name, which is the founder of Miss Black Oklahoma, heavy leader in civil rights and all those things. Wow, I haven't seen her name in a long time. Did get to meet her. But so we were in training. So in the Black system, we had to be taught how to be. Now, part of it is good, right? You're learning different life skills and different things like that. But part of it was you're not going to be accepted in a white world unless you are conducting yourself a certain way if you win. Because the Miss Black Tulsa didn't just stay in her community. I would be in different places too, should I have won. So the first season of it, I did not win the title. I actually won Miss Congeniality. I was voted by the other girls as being sisterhood. So I won that the first year that I competed. I competed the second year and I did win the second year. And it was the same type of training. I found my love for interviewing in the pageant system. As most of you guys know, I have a long career, nearly 15-year career in job interviewing and human resources and all of that for major companies. And that's where it started for me with that Black system. But then I went to compete in the regular Miss America system. How that works is every city has a pageant. There's a season. And you can go from city to city competing in all the pageants till you win. So here in Texas, you could go to do Miss Dallas, you could do Miss Austin, you could do Miss San Antonio, Miss all the different cities. And you literally, there are parents that pack their girls up and take them city to city. They've signed them up for all these cities until they win. Once you win a city, you are now in the Miss Oklahoma pageant. So the goal is win a city. If you win Miss Oklahoma, you're now on TV as Miss Oklahoma. So that's the 3-layer process to get there. So I said, you know what? Before I retire my pageant hat, I was first runner-up in Miss Black Oklahoma too. But before I retire my Miss Black or just my talent, my pageant hat, let me go over to the Miss America system where I know I'm going to be the only Black girl in every pageant. And I did 2 pageants in the Miss America system. And I was very aware that I was Black because I knew, and I had learned young, no one said this to me, but I learned somehow that I had to work twice as hard as a Black girl in an environment where it is primarily not Black to be counted as just good enough. I had to work even harder than that to be seen as a reputable, equal counterpart. Now, this is my experience, not just in pageants, in every job I've had where every job I've had, the environment is more than just Black. So every job I've had, I can say that with confidence. Every space I've been in, I know that I have to work so hard for my work to be considered good enough or the same. So there's been pains for me and for so many people who have tried to just have the same things that everybody else has, no matter what they look like. So I'm in this white pageant system, and I knew that I had to maybe change what dress I chose for evening wear, the swimsuit that I chose. I knew that in that space, if I were to just show up as myself in presentation, I would be easily rejected. But if I were to adapt to that environment, that I could be considered, at least considered, my talent considered at the same level of my white counterparts. My speaking, my every part of that pageant competition. You guys, In the locker rooms or the areas where we got dressed, I'm by myself. Those girls aren't talking to me. I'm alone. I feel like their moms prefer them not to. They had their clique. Some of them were traveling city to city together. It's just me. I don't have a big family that has money to drive to Claremore, Oklahoma, so I can, and be in Collinsville, so I can be in this pageant. I don't have support. My family don't have money. I'm on my own. Miss Black Tulsa, I'm working to buy my own stuff because I don't come from what a lot of my counterparts came from. And so for me, I knew I had to pull up my own bootstraps, as they say, and I had to fight to be considered equal because even my poorness, my socioeconomic situation drew divides. And that's a whole nother conversation. And that drew divides in addition to my race. Again, I have been very aware that I am Black for a very long time, and no one had to teach me that. I learned that on my own just by the interactions and the discrimination and different things I've seen in my life. I was really grateful to where I was able to get second runner-up in the Miss Collinsville, which is the Miss America pageant system, for that city. And I was so proud to have placed, which means that I had to bring it, right? But that trophy is, I actually can see it. That trophy was like me winning Miss America because with the few resources I had to be able to get there, I don't have the support of everyone around me. The system isn't set up for me to be accepted as who I am, this Black girl in the skin. I literally had to figure out, how do I adapt? I can't rock a fro in that pageant. I could in Miss Black Tulsa, Miss Black Oklahoma. I can't rock that in Miss Collinsville or whatever. Why? Because it would be so different. And I think a lot of times in these polished environments, different is the word that's camouflaged of you are different. Your race is different. You are different. And I need you to be like us so I'm not uncomfortable. Woo! I'm going to take a sip of water on that. Mm-hmm. Another experience I've had, and I'm going to transition to what can our allies do for us, is in corporate America, where I've had the conversation where my boss is like, you seem angry about this. You seem angry. Now, I've had to educate a manager on, actually, I'm just passionate about it. This isn't anger. It's not anger. I've had the conversation in my work environments of, well, we don't want you to get all worked up. What? So you mean when I said, that was me showing too much emotion, because if my emotion gets too high on any point, then I'm either angry or I'm going to alarm you. Yeah. I've had the experience where my boss says, hey, the company has this push for diversity. And I don't know anything about that, quote unquote. I don't know anything about that, but I know you have experience with that. Can you develop our program and plan on how we can hit these numbers and what we need to do? So I've had the conversation with my boss, who isn't, help me understand, can you educate me? I've had the conversation with my boss where she's like, I'm giving it to you because you get the minority situation. You get that. I'm not the only one on the team who's been doing this job. Y'all, you're the Black girl. Can you do it? Okay, no problem. I've had the experience in corporate America where there are two of us, people of color on the team, two Black people on the team. This is a team of eight or nine. And at one of those big companies, you guys, I've named them before. And some of these experiences I'm telling you are at these big companies who I'm now seeing take a stand for social justice. And I'm glad, because when I worked there, it wasn't no standing. So when I am in the room and I hear us talking again about diversity, because it was a big push by me at the time, I hear my white coworker say out loud, why can't they just apply for the job like everybody else? Why do we have to go recruit them? You want to know why you have to recruit us? Because if we don't feel like we will be accepted in your environment, we don't want to be there. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say. I also wanted to drop the stats of how low the percentages are. I should have brought them with me. That a Black person will be chosen. If her name is Shaquan Lewis and you got John Clark and their qualifications are identical, research has proven time and time again, John is going to get selected much quicker than Shaquan Lewis. It is a proven fact. There have been some of the most educated, well-rounded people that have very ethnic names, or they are not named, their names are not European. And so because of that, I have watched even my own family or cousins. I'm talking about high educated people that cannot be considered the same as their counterparts just because their name sounds different, let alone their skin, because their name to many indicates, oh, they're Black. Can we handle this Black person? I've been the part in our environment. Let me finish that sentence. I've been the recruiter that works for the corporation where my job is to hire in people in just across the board, hire people. And my job is to get these positions filled, from finance directors to VP of sales to whatever. And my job is to recruit people. Well, while I'm recruiting, I've always had a diversity lens on. So I'm not going to present my manager only white people to consider. I'm going to intentionally present them people of different backgrounds and potential ethnicities. If I can determine that from a resume, I'm going to make sure that's the job of a recruiter who has diversity experience or who's trained. I'm not just going to put the people who come to the top of the stack in front of the manager to consider fulfilling their job. Why? Because a lot of times they won't be Black, because there's not as many educated Black people in a lot of industries. So unless you're intentional, your environment will not be diverse. And that intentionality is very, very important. But I've been that girl who the manager is like, every time I present them diversity, they push aside the person of color. They push aside their resume. I've seen it happen for women. Teams are like, I don't want a woman. They wouldn't say it. They just keep tossing. They wouldn't pick them. I have watched the discrimination for women in addition to Black people, in addition to people who are young and the environment is aged. When you're a recruiter, you see a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So I want to say this. I know that all of us have come from different environments and we're taking this situation, this George Floyd situation in different ways. But I just want to, as I'm kind of concluding the point around all of us have not come from the same places. We don't all have the same experiences. Please accept a person, a Black person especially, as an individual. Do not group us up into being all one type of person because we have melanin in our skin. We don't all have the same experiences. Just because I don't talk like my hood anymore, I didn't do it on purpose. My parents moved me around. And so how I talk is how I talk. But it doesn't mean I can't understand or identify with where I've been because of how I speak. And that's a whole nother conversation within the Black community. I'm going to go to you guys' comments before I transition specifically to what I could see our allies doing that are not Black in a time like this. Because as we talked about earlier, we've had some of our white friends reach out to us. And I want to share with you what I think can happen in order to help our white counterparts really do their part in this time. Because I don't know about you, I haven't tried to notice, but I have noticed, especially other church leaders being a pastor, I've noticed other church leaders who are white and who haven't said anything. And I wasn't looking for it, but I noticed. And I have debated, let me do this before I get to your comments. I have debated, do I reach out to them? Do I reach out and say, hey, I know a lot's happening in the media. A lot's happening, with the George Floyd murder. Y'all, when I found out his knee was on his neck for 9 minutes, I couldn't believe it. I didn't watch the video because that would be trauma for me, because I've had people gunned down in my life. I've had a gun held to me. I have no desire to see just real life death like that. Okay. It's not entertainment for me, and I don't want to be desensitized. I did see the image, so I didn't know it was 9 minutes. Horrible. But I've debated, do I actually reach out to some of my quiet white counterparts and just lend myself? Again, as I said earlier, no, it may not be my job to educate. I hear you from the comment earlier. I agree. No, it's not my job to run around educating people on Black people, because we're not all one experience and we're not all one person. I can definitely represent myself and my experiences, and I know that they'll be identified by many Black people in the community because we all grew up in this America. But is it an option? Do I extend my services? Do I actually say my services, meaning as a speaker, as a friend? Do I speak out? Do I reach out and say, hey, I don't know where you're sitting with all of this, but I'm happy to have a conversation if you want to. Do we do that? Do we help them out? Do we say it because we are believers in Jesus Christ, for those who are listening who are? Because our role as a believer is to definitely snatch that darkness out. We have been set free, so we are advocates of freedom in mindset as well. Do we do it? All right, I'm going to your comments now. Here on YouTube, y'all have been sounding off for me. I love y'all dearly. So Grace says, hey, Grace. She says, especially Asians, their anti-Blackness in their community is something serious. Oh, how I have been discriminated against by Asian Americans. I got stories for days. Low key, I got a nail appointment today. I will go in there sanitized and masked up. But look, and I have changed nail salons to the one I'm at now because of discrimination. I went to a nail salon, guys, for 3 years. She never knew my name. There are other women, profiles of women I started to notice. Oh, their name, Susan, Sally, Michelle. As soon as they walked in the door, they knew their names. They hadn't been. I've been there 3 years. I ain't seen you all 3 years. What's up? Look, I've had to change. Definitely had to change, for sure. Okay, another comment on YouTube says there are a lot of church leaders who are white that are taking a stand, and it's so dope. It is so dope. You wonder why Stephen Furtick has one of the most diverse churches, I would say, in America, because he also has volume, so that's what makes me say America, is because there is an obvious, gosh, it's a separate conversation, y'all, but there is an obvious stance he has of pro everybody. But there is also an experience Stephen Furtick has of being in Black church. He immersed himself in a culture different than how he grew up. He grew up with a racist father, who then he was used to help his father come to the revelation of everyone being equal in God's eyes. And his dad inviting him to Black church. And his dad, until he died, spent his last days literally in a Black environment. And it's a beautiful story. Y'all should look it up on YouTube. It is an amazing story, heartfelt story. But I love seeing a person who is not Black go hard for Black people, not out of guilt, but out of a stance for true equality, not out of guilt. I don't want to see you feel bad that your ancestors had slaves. This is just me. I want to see you want equality because it's right. Not just because it's a debt you're trying to pay. That's just for me. Some of you guys may feel different, but for me, I want you to want equality no matter what. I want you to want equality for women, for Hispanics, for everybody, not just because I'm Black. So on YouTube, then I'm going to head over to Facebook because you guys are popping off over here. It says, there are a lot of church leaders. Yep, I read that one. His talk with John Gray was powerful. I cannot wait to see Stephen Furtick's conversation with John Gray. Guys, if you are especially non-Black, I would love for you to check out those two folks talk. It is a video. It's come out this week with Stephen Furtick and John Gray, and they sit down and have a real heart-to-heart conversation around race. And it's insightful, but it also isn't heavy. So it'll give you that balance. All right. On Facebook, we have so many comments, and I'm looking forward to share your comments. Kamisha, hey Kamisha, and she says, "Hello, happy to be on your live. I have found myself in a place where my people of color, are angry with me because I'm not willing to jump on the all white people are bad train." She goes on to say they feel the need to re-educate me on what's going on. Now we are battling each other as a culture on who's the blackest and who's the proudest. And again, first of all, I hear you. I am with you, Kamisha. I have seen this narrative. I have seen these conversations on who's the blackest. Are you black enough? If you don't do this, if you didn't do the blackout picture, are you even? And this goes back to the top of this podcast episode today, where I talked about we all got different experiences and are in different environments. I do think there is something to say for those of us Black people who live in communities and environments where we are pretty much the only Black person. And so because we are the only Black person, there is a hesitation for some of us to speak out for our race because we don't want to be alienated. I think if you are afraid to stand in who you are as an individual, part of your identity is that you are a person of color. It's how God made you. So if shame comes along with that, you got to deal with that. There was a time where I was ashamed. I didn't want to wear no texture on no type of hair. I wanted to blend in. Why? Because I'm in corporate America. And if I come in here with kinky hair, y'all are going to put me in a box, and it's going to be something that separates us because my white counterparts at that time were not okay with differences. It made them uncomfortable. It made them uncomfortable. Let's keep going here. A comment from Alicia says, "Oh my goodness, I have had to educate my coworkers as well. One thing that would bother me the most is having my credentials questioned. Who? How did I get? I remember when I got asked to do this project for Amazon, and the project spanned over hundreds of people. I was actually on another account certified to be a diversity trainer. So I know what I'm talking about. I've been in this space, in the corporate space, and educating hundreds of people on how you embrace people different than you and how you attract people into your environment that are different than you. And so, yes, I myself have been in a place where someone has asked me, how did you get that? How did you get that? Yeah. All right. Christy. Hey, Christy. Love her so much. She says, we saw a ton of discrimination. Oh, yeah. So she's talking about, she's a former coworker of mine. Absolutely, there was discrimination there. And I also, Christy, thought there was discrimination on more than just even race. But in our leadership, I've seen discrimination because these people hunt and these people don't. Different type of people, you know what I mean? Yes, please speak out. Oh, you said, oh, please speak out. Yes, I think I hear you on that, Christy. It cut off, but I'm with you. Kamisha said, yes, I think you should reach out to white counterparts and offer the conversation should you feel comfortable doing so. Another comment says, I say we should. Sometimes it just takes a conversation to make a difference. Absolutely. And then my mother-in-law says, please, yes. Shout out to my mother-in-law who marched for civil rights back in her day, who has been an advocate for Black rights for as far back as she was a young person. I even know the story of my mother-in-law happened to run away from home because there was a stance against her being around or dating, not sure, Black people. Who knew that later she'd have a Black daughter-in-law, me, and have biracial grandchildren? But yeah, shout out to my mother-in-law. Love her dearly. She says, speak up to the white pastors. They may not even know how to approach you. I agree. I think there are some white folks who need help. Like, they're like, I don't know what to say. I know this one Black guy. Do I know him well enough to say something? All of that. Then Candace says, I've been extremely saddened by the amount of white people in my hometown who were mad about a peaceful protest last night. When you try to tell them it's okay to say Black Lives Matter, they throw in the All Lives Matter. There are some people who will never change their views, unfortunately, but we can't stop trying to show them a different way. I agree with you, Candace. There is the All Lives Matter conversation has been severely challenged in social media space. I think it's starting to lose its steam heavily. One of the biggest arguments against All Lives Matter that I have heard, because as you guys may know, whenever someone says Black Lives Matter and then there's a challenge of All Lives Matter, uh, there is an understanding or there is a feeling that that is challenging Black lives as matter as being Black Lives Matter as being a valid statement. And so with All Lives Matter, something that I've understood it to be is, yes, all lives matter, but if a community of all of those lives is in trouble, then you need to aid that particular part of the community. So all lives do matter. They matter to God. God made all us matter. There it is. But if for the Black community, we have finally gotten strong enough to start standing up for, I can't sit quiet on all the things I've gone through. There are things I've shared today, and none of y'all know I've ever could have experienced. Why? Because I don't walk around talking about it all the time until there's a way. There's open ears and hearts right now. And that's why I feel compelled to speak and have to speak on this today, which makes the podcast episode a little heavier, but y'all are hanging with me and I love you for it. Christy says, yes, please speak out. I think some of us feel crippled and don't know how to speak out ourselves. And I think she's talking for non-Black people. I agree. Yes, I think some of you guys may not know how to stand with us. And I want to read through those in just a moment of some ways I think you can stand with us. She also says, also, you gave the best career advice, and I still apply it today. You are such a natural hype woman. Woo, woo. Love you, Christy. She says, you are amazing, my friend. Oh, I love you, Nicia. Dearly love you. All right. So to my white allies and all those who are not Black, I have a couple things that I have made note of that I think that you can do to aid in your Black counterparts and their experience. And here's what I have. So, and this goes into my profuse point. You know, I always finish the podcast with a profuse point. Here it is. I am jumping up and down for reaching out to your Black friends. Okay. Now here's a joke of, I got a Black friend. I ain't racist. Heads up. You can have a one Black friend and still just be very comfortable with that one Black friend and still have different stereotypes against other Black people. So please know, if you are non-white, that is not good enough. Love you. Okay. But reach out to people. And if I were you, if I were not Black, I would just say, hey, I realize there's a lot happening in society right now. I'm just checking in to see if you okay. You don't know what to say? You're reaching out to say there's a lot happening with this George Floyd thing, or call it murder if you feel like it was, which it has been deemed that by the autopsy. But I would say, I'm just checking to see how you're doing. That text alone for me would make me feel seen, would make me feel like you are ride or die. You are with me and you care. I think part of it is the all lives matter argument is almost saying like, we don't care about what you got to say because we done decided everybody does. So your experience is void. And so when you are a non-white person and you reach out and say, I'm just checking on you, it also opens the door for me to say, and how are you doing over there? Is there a conversation you want to have? And just see it, open it up. Second thing, because I got to go. Second thing says, here we go. So the second point that I would give is be vocal. If you are confident enough in the conversation that's happening, definitely on social media, but most importantly, in your own family, if you could say to your family and friends, hey, there's a lot of things happening in the media right now. I don't know how you doing over there, but I'd love to talk through with you what your feelings are. So if you know you are standing with people of color and your white friends and you haven't had conversations, you should be vocal in your own space for Black people where it's not even being seen on social media. So yes, you're being vocal on social media, but you should be talking to your buddies and you should be sharing this podcast, if not starting it at this moment in the time when you replay it and send it to, you should be having a conversation and saying, hey girl, stuff that the world is blowing up, but I'm hearing these points that the Black community is making, and I am seeing a trend. You got to call it out in your own space because that's a space we're not in. We can't get into that. But you know if your friend's tripping, you know if your friend's racist, you know if they're okay yelling the N-word while they listen to rap music. Oh, okay, let's move on to the third point. Educate yourself. There are books on the Black experience that you can read, books you can listen to, podcasts you can listen to like this one. So shout out to all my non-white folks who are up in here. And you can educate yourself on our experiences and why the Black community has a different understanding of the police. Why we don't feel safe. When I get pulled over, y'all, I got a whole spiel of how I conduct myself. I've had it since I was a very young girl. Even with my white husband, it don't matter that he's white in the car with me. If I'm driving, I have a whole thing. Try to understand our experiences. Try to understand by educating yourself. Real time with real people, but also the history of this thing and why we have these strong feelings. What would cause someone to loot, especially if they're poor? They have tried to climb their way up. They have been discriminated multiple times. People in their family have been shot. They have built up all this frustration and boom, now they're like, forget that target. I'm busting it up. Is it right? Nope, it's not. But can you understand? Can you understand? Okay. Not right, but can you understand? Fourth, I would say, and this, I'm pulling this directly from you guys' comments today in this podcast. Someone said that their friend prayed for the experience of being around Black people. They didn't grow up around them. So for my non-Black listeners, pray for the experience. God, put me in a space where I can be around people who don't look like me. And when you get there, let me help you out. When you get to that space, when God answers your prayers by that in this club or group you're going to go to, or the different experiences that I know He will allow you to have, because unity is something God is for. Guys, when you get to these spaces, what I want is I want you to not make it about their race. I want you to make it about the individual. I want you to just see them as who they are. I don't want you to come into, and this is why you should have an education and understanding our experiences, if they're not all the same. But I want you to step into that space, secure in who you are, but being ready to embrace somebody who's different and not ask them to be different so you can feel comfortable. There are many times where I have felt like I have been asked to not be so this, not be so that. So that way the environment could not have to shift and move. Do not ask us to step out of who we are. Embrace us where we are. And fifth, for the next generation, especially for young children, because there was a question on here earlier that said, how do I talk to my kids about what's happening? How do I give my kids an experience? I live in this white neighborhood. I live in a space where we don't hang with people who don't look with us just because we're just not around it. I go to work. Everyone primarily looks like me, whatever. I would say your children need to have a diversity of toys, a diversity of heroes, a diversity of books. If you're reading them a bedtime book, I know there's this popular book series, Goodnight Texas or Goodnight Georgia. There's all these different things. How diverse is your child's book life, their TV life? Are all the shows look just like them? How comfortable are they with just seeing people who are different? Have you considered going to a black fest? That's right. The word's exposure. The word is exposure. Have you considered putting yourself in a different environment? Go to a black event, a black festival. Are you going to feel uncomfortable? Sure are, because you would then be the minority. But if you are brave enough to expose yourself to something different, you, my friend, are a true ally. Because guess what? Most of us black people have been indifferent our whole lives. Different. Once we get into the work environment, unless you're working in a fast food place or in a part of town where it's primarily just black people, all of us have been in environments where we have had to adapt to the culture. I'll say this in closing because I have a giveaway. It's the beginning of the month. So here in the Don't Be Useless fam, if you have gone to ispriscillab.com and you have signed up for my email list, then you are definitely going to be a recipient of, or you could be a winner of our monthly giveaway. And this month I am giving away this phone case. And if I have a male winner, sorry guys, I don't have a male winner. I've already pulled the name, but this is a case that sticks on the back of your phone where you can put your credit cards in it. And it is Swarovski. I don't know how to say that well, but there it is. It's Swarovski. And so I will be giving that away in just a moment. But if you want to be in next month's giveaway, y'all better jump in there. That list ain't so huge that you can't win. Come on. Go to ispriscillab.com and sign up. I have not started pushing out my regular empowerment emails, but they are coming this summer. So I don't want you to miss it. But again, the 5 points. 1, reach out to your black friends, the people that you know that are in your phone, that are people of color. And what are you saying in this time? You're checking in on them. You're just saying, I just want to see how you're doing over there. That's it. Let them be. Don't push anything. Don't demand they come to dinner or whatever. Let them be. Second, you want to make sure that you are being vocal. And this doesn't just mean on social media, which is great. You are being vocal in your own friend spaces where we can't get to. You're allowing them to vent to you, but you're also correcting things like, hey, this is becoming a trend. You're being honest with what you're seeing, but you are definitely reaching out and you're being vocal. Those are 1 and 2. Third, you are educating yourself. Grab some books. I'm going to be posting on social media or sharing out some of the book lists that I have come across. One of them is So You Want to Talk About Race. Find the author, can't remember her name or his name, but the book is called So You Want to Talk About Race. Commit to listening or reading the book. 4th, pray for the experience. Actually position yourself. Get exposed to different environments where you are the minority. You can find them everywhere. You can find them on meetup.com, whatever. And you are positioning yourself. Okay? And lastly, educate them nieces, nephews, and kids that you have, that next generation, by diversifying their environment and diversifying their eyes. Okay? You have a niece, buy her a black doll for Christmas. Consider making sure she done seen Princess Tiana. Okay? Expose the next generation to environments and spaces, especially if you know, this is again to my white allies or non-black allies, make sure that you are exposing other people a generation down. So to them, it is normal that everyone is equal and everyone is the same. And I'm not uncomfortable because someone is different than me. You guys have been amazing. All right. Finishing up these comments, it says, none of my so-called white friends have done this, even though I reached out to them before. They're no longer my friends. And that is so sad. But here's the thing. There may be a difference in the timing. So Grace, where you may have reached out and they could not accept, the conversation, that at that season or time, let God bring that thing back around. People can change. So even though they may not be your friends anymore right now, later on, they could be, should you have them back. But let things run its course. That's something else. Don't force people. Right now, some people may not be ready. Circle back. Let God do his work. Christy says, this is exactly what I was looking to learn today. Woo! this advice right here. Sorry, my messages keep getting cut off. No problem, Christy. Grace, Princess Tiana. Now, I ain't about that voodoo that was in that movie, but you know what I'm saying. You can still get the baby doll for somebody. Somebody says, so you want to talk about race. Ooh, so good. And that's an African name, so I assume it's an African author. Excellent. So there's the name of the book. So you want to talk about race. That is just one. That is just one. But I have some more that I've screenshot, and I want to share those things out with you guys. I told you I would leave you with scripture. And that's exactly what I'm about to do. I'm about to read something to you that is specifically about justice. And I hope that you would hang in here and hear with me. So the Bible talks about us having the right to be angry. In Ephesians 4, verses 26 specifically, the Bible talks about us being together, that we're all one body, and that we need to move together and exist together. And guys, the scripture says, in Ephesians 4, verse 26, it says, be angry. What? God said it's okay to be mad? Yes. But it says be angry at sin, at immorality, at injustice, at ungodly behavior. You do not sin. So the Bible says be angry, but don't start acting in a way that is detrimental to you or others. You can be mad, but you need to keep yourself together. And it even says be mad at injustice. You can be mad about it. We got these real emotions for a reason. It goes on to say, do not let your anger cause you shame. Do not let your anger cause you shame. You know, I read the story of someone who looted, going back the next day and handed the items back to the store owner and said, I'm sorry I took this from your store yesterday. And as they walk back there, they are ashamed. Their head is down because they let their anger take them to a place that they should not have. The Bible gives great wisdom. Be mad at injustice. Be mad at immorality and all the things. But it says don't sin. Don't let it make you get out of character. Don't let anger take you out of integrity. Don't let anger push you to being a person that will bring you shame. So that is how I close out this profuse point. And let me announce the winner of our giveaway. The winner, because you went to itspriscillab.com. Because you went to itspriscillab.com. Oh, the scripture is Ephesians 4:26. And I love the Amplified Bible. You guys drop that in the comments. Ephesians 4:26 Amplified. Amplified Bible puts the definition or breakdown of words inside the scripture. So that way, when it can get kind of King Jamesy like and you don't understand what's going on, Amplified is the bomb. So the winner of this right here belongs to Ashley Natch. Ashley Natch won this. Yes, she is a newer subscriber. She subscribed in the last 2 weeks. And I pulled specifically from that group from the last 2 weeks. So if you want to get in on next month's giveaway, make sure you do that. This is a Swarovski. And it is a holder case. I give good stuff, y'all. I give good stuff. Do you hear me? I work to give y'all good stuff to make sure. And this comes out of my own pocket because I love y'all so much. If you're here, you want to be better. If you're here, you want a great life. And we here every Monday at 1 o'clock. Today we did Tuesday because I was on vacation, which I got to tell you about next time. How do you vacation during quarantine? I got you. I'm about to drop a vlog on it because I vlogged my trip, but on my YouTube channel, it's Priscilla B. But I got you. So make sure you guys go to itspriscillab.com, sign up for that email list. I can't wait to send you guys empowering things. Make sure you visit me on YouTube as you guys are here. Share this out. Click that share button, y'all. Let people know we're here. I love you guys so much. And I will see you guys on Monday, 1 o'clock Central, right here on YouTube and on Facebook. Love y'all.